and they never agreed for a referendum or an election to bring in mass amounts of migrants. And I actually would say, if you watch my videos, as you claim you have, I've spoken to several different migrants where I've said I am actually upset that migrants that are positive contributors economically. Can you
Don't push me! Don't push me!
Don't put
your hand on me! Don't put your hand on me, you little prick! Go back to school!
Okay.
Go back to school! You are a fascist!
Just calm down. Focus on the question.
You're the sectarian! You're the sectarian, dude!
I remember his name.
So, James.
Cultural nationalism.
So, as I said, so there's several reasons why I hold to nationalism. First of all, wasn't at the democratic consent of the people. Unless you could tell me a referendum or election in which it was agreed upon to accept millions and millions of people, then that's a completely different story. Then I can just disagree with it on a polemical level. The second point is that I've said this on several different times during stands on mass deportations, is that I feel extremely sorry for the migrants who genuinely came here, culturally integrated to this country and economically contributed to the country when it was most needed.
Are they part of your
Why?
ethnicity?
What, 5 to 10%, of course.
5 to 10%.
Yeah.
So I think.
Hey, by the way, you interrupted me, which you constantly do, Tay.
How long
You interject my points.
Go ahead, speak as long as you want.
Fantastic. So I don't believe there's democratic consent of the people. I believe that, unfortunately, the migrants that should be into this country have been undermined by the migrants who shouldn't be put into this country. And the third thing is, I think that for someone who tries to act like they're really pious, you intentionally are deceitful in that you use Christian religious polemicists and apologists who have nothing to do with the politics that I do on social media. You use that against them as guilty as association and somehow trying to libel them with the false accusations that I can't defend myself with. You accuse me of putting words into my own mouth, then you use it against other people who aren't intimate in terms of what I've done on Twitter.
So you've mentioned a range of things there. Can I address your last point first, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So your last point, he's accusing me of putting words into his mouth. There's videos out there where you're on a stream where you're saying mixed race people have cultural from impoverished communities where they have genetic issues. There's clear
Didn't say that.
evidence of you.
Didn't say
I
that.
can pull it out right now.
Okay, you can pull it up,
right now?
and what it will say is that I have heard people give the arguments that intersex marriages cause genetic disorders. And in fact, I'm on several different videos talking about abortion and how abortion is a form of eugenics.
Okay, who wants to hear this?
Yeah, go on, I will hear it. Because I know what stream he's referring to.
Okay, go on.
Verbatimly.
We got enough space, we'll make it.
You notice how I said it is true.
Yeah,
but
it is true.
But
mixed race people.
But I didn't say genetic
issues.
So what it said verbatimly, it is true that in some interracial families. No, I'm not lying. I'm not lying. So the verbatim quote that you couldn't hear, and I'll play it and I can show it to Soko, was that it is true that some interracial families may feel that they are racially disconnected from their other families, and you see this in very racially skeptic cultures, especially in Africa, where they hold to their blackness being a key part of identity. But I disagree with it. I don't agree with the idea that people, a small portion of the population, can't get married to the people they love. Verbatimly what I said on the live stream.
Disgrace.
So I want to repeat it. I gave an argument that someone asked me about, and I said I do not care about a very small portion of the population. That was out of a 3-hour stream. Someone asked me a question. What about what I asked me? What do I think about mixed race households? Because on the extreme parts of the alt-right on Twitter, people have an issue with it. Now I don't have an issue with a small percentage of the population marrying someone that they love, especially as a Christian, where you receive a blessing to get married and consecrate that marriage and have a child. Out of a 3-hour stream, you pull out 2-minute video.
Was that the same stream where you were co-hosting with a person, I believe it was called Anon Chud?
Pardon?
It was a person called Anon Chud, which you co-hosted a stream with. right?
I didn't.
You co-hosted a
Yeah.
stream with him, and he said he wants to make it legal to kill all non-white British people in this country.
Not what he said.
said
Again,
that.
so he
said
said,
that. And you laughed.
No, he said that hate crimes can very easily be overridden with pedantics, and it was supposed to emphasise how arbitrary. It's not relevant because I agree that he said it.
He said it.
Yeah,
He said it. He's
but it wasn't me. And the point of that statement, and the point of the statement,
black and brown people.
the point of that statement, that
You as well, buddy.
the point, I don't want to kill JC. Now, the point of the stream, so he was making 2 points by saying that. The first point he made to say that was that hate crimes are very easily overridden by pedantic statements. So, for example, instead of saying you want to kill a certain race of people, in this country, it would be very legal to advocate for races of people to be made illegal by the death penalty. It was opposed to outline the hypocrisy of hate crime. I think that statement, in isolation from that context, is totally un-Christian. I don't call for the killing of anyone.
Why did you laugh
The
after he
second
said it?
point,
Why did you laugh after he
because
said it?
the 2
Why
points
did
he was
you say
trying to
some
make
of
was
us
quite
have to be
funny.
Careful about what we say online.
Because the 2
Isn't the
points
right
he was
thing to do
trying to
say
make
you're an
was
extremist?
funny.
I wanna
The
be
first point he was trying to
I don't wanna
make
co-host
was that the hate.
That's the
Okay.
responsible thing to do. That's the adult thing to do. But the issue we have here is that the ethno-nationalists want to run this little kid around, flirt with these Christian nationalists.
I don't think he's a Christian nationalist. He have nothing to do with this.
Interrupting me now. Christianity is incompatible with what the message this guy is preaching right here. This guy is preaching for a country to be 95% white British across the board in every county of this country. How are you going to accomplish that when the majority of this country doesn't believe in that in the first case? The second thing is more than 5% of the ethnic minorities in this country are long established in this country. So how are you going to?
What was the percentage you said?
You said you wanted 95% of
No,
this
what was the
country.
percentage of the generational migrants in this country? 5%, right?
No, I'm saying
It
there's
proves
more
my
than
point.
5% of this country that is long-term integrated into the UK in some manner.
And did it have the democratic consent of its people?
So the more than 5%, listen to this, guys.
No, but
The
I'm
more
asking
than
you, did mass
5%
migration have a mandate from its people? Yes or no?
I'm not debating mass migration.
No,
I'm talking about what about the Windrush generation? What about the generations that
I
came from
think
the
that-
expulsions of Africa, like the Idi Amin expulsion, for example,
Yeah.
of which I'm a descendant.
Yeah.
Right? We've been in this country longer than the mass migration you're referring to now.
But the Windrush
fact
generation
is,
was the
when you
start
add
of mass
when you add up
migration.
the Windrush generation, when you add up the expulsions from Africa, the other expulsions from the British Empire, that these immigrants helped contribute to the prospering of the British Empire throughout its history.
You're out of your depth
So the
again,
fact
boss.
is, these
Yeah.
5%,
Out of your depth
you're
again.
saying you want this country to be 95% white British, right?
No, I
The
said.
fact-
I,
you
okay.
literally
No,
said that.
so I said, I
Look, this
quote,
guy is
I want a
saying
homogenous
results out of
country.
every statement
I
he
gave
says.
I gave a different bandwidth between 85 and 95%,
Right, 85.
and I asked you,
didn't say
which you didn't give me an
85.
answer.
You said 95%.
No, I literally said it right here. If you weren't bothering and interrupting me, you would have heard it. And I also said, I also
last
said,
week you said 95%.
I wasn't even
The other
here
week
last
you said
week.
100%.
Weren't even here. Never said 100% either.
Your behavior seems
Fantastic. You can be a
Right, go ahead,
psychologist
go
all
ahead,
you
go
want.
ahead.
So I want to round up on all the points you've said. The first point is my previous friend was trying to make 2 points. First of all, the hate crime,
Yeah.
the hate speech laws in this country are totally unexcusable. Because I could say I want to kill races of people in this country. That's obviously legal. It should be. Because
That's what your
an
friend
act
is
of
saying,
violence.
the
An
guy
act
you're
of violence.
co-hosting with,
Hold on.
right?
An act of violence.
Guy you're co-hosting.
Not my friend, an anonymous account. I gave it to him because he was going to moderate the channel. But anyways, the second point he was trying to make was how the right was drastically becoming extreme. And he gave an analogy on how the sort of moderate nationalism I owe to, and mass migration, did not have the democratic consent of its people, and we do need to create a hostile environment for a lot of migrants coming into this country. And the joke was, and it was a bit more of a skit, was that gradually, if we'd actually get a hold on this migration crisis, we could get to a point in this country where people genuinely hold to it. That was why I was laughing. And it's like, you know, there's a lot of political skits like the People's Giant of Judea. We talk about how extreme political movements are coming to.
Details, right? So you're looking for a country that's 90 to 95% white British.
Yeah, regionally,
yeah. So how are we going to accomplish that?
Yeah, so we create a hostile environment. So if you read Restore Britain's 120-page document, it goes into more articulate detail into how we achieve that. But I believe that we should create a
And
hostile
sorry, just
environment.
one thing I want to add.
Fantastic.
The Muslim population of this country is 6.5%, 7% of this
Yeah.
country. They're integral integral part of this country. They are part of this community and they help this British community prosper. The average Muslim donates over £700 to charity annually, whereas the
What
British
sorts of
average
charities do they
outside of
donate
that
to?
is £105. I'm talking about various aspects of the British
Because
Muslim
the problem
community.
I have-
The British Muslim community is up and coming.
You know where that?
What,
They
stop
are
anti-Semitism? Yeah, I don't like
essential part of
anti-Semitism.
the next generation.
You're racist,
Nigel
Bob.
Farage,
You're descending into
Nigel Farage in
racism.
Reform,
Wait,
which I'm sure you agree, he had said that the British Muslim community is an integral part of the UK.
I don't believe that.
system. But Nigel Farage said that.
Okay, I'm not with Nigel Farage. I was canvassing for Restore Britain for the past week.
But I think people, they don't understand the nitty-gritty details, so I'm trying to explain to them.
Are you speaking to me or are you speaking to the camera like a showman?
The fact is, Labour, the Conservatives, Liberal Democrats, the Greens, and Reform all think you're an extremist.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
And I agree with you because they're all part of the establishment. And in fact, if you actually polled, so recently, you must know that the average general member of the public for the last 150 years has had the average economic and social policy of New Labour. If you poll each constituency, it's a poll that's done mostly towards local and also national elections.
I want to get to the focus, which is...
No, hold on, I let you speak.
You're an
I let you
extremist
speak.
because you're asking
I
for
let you speak.
90%.
I let you speak. I let you
Notice how he's
speak.
dodging the fact
No,
that
I'm not
he
dodging the
wants
fact. In fact, responding to your point that the general public is in line with my position, and I'll tell you why with polls. So towards local and national elections, they all poll the economic and social policies of each constituency on average. And traditionally, your average constituent had the social and economic policy of a new Labour Blairite, right? And a recent poll done close to the local elections has found that 64% of everyone in each constituency polled found that migration was actually damaging the British economy. And as I keep on emphasising to you, I believe genuinely, and you can find that as I keep on touring around the
Reform are also
country.
against migration, but they think you're an extremist.
Yes, fantastic, because Reform was part of the establishment. Took in a bunch of Tories, said mass deportation was impossible, said we have to appease the Muslim community in this country, took in
The fact is, the only party
constituents.
that's willing to host this guy is a party that believes
Run
in
with 100,000 members, 600 branch, 100,000 members, 600 branches. Just 1 out of 10 of the councillors in the elections that they run. Restore Britain is a mainline political party, hosted by most media establishments.
Mainline political party that only runs in Great Yarmouth.
Of course. Because they're just established in 4 months.
Running Great Yarmouth though.
Because you're vetting over
They couldn't
1,000.
register candidates in time.
Yeah, you couldn't vet the candidates in time.
Vet the candidates. God, I wouldn't like to see the vetting process.
So I just want to clarify one thing. Does Restore Britain, do they believe in the same, like what do you agree with Restore Britain's view of remigration?
Yes.
Yes. And what is that?
So Restore Britain's policy on remigration, again, I can't condense a 120-page document into one. They want to create a hostile environment for migrants, which includes fantastic, because there's so many of them coming in. You know, I wish the best for these people. I wish that we could actually accept migrants into this country without it demographically replacing the native people. Like, as a Christian, I genuinely have love for these people, and I also disagree with sort of boomer talking points that we shouldn't help other countries in the globe, right? If there are Christians being persecuted in different lands, we should be able to help these
You don't care
people.
about Christians abroad.
Of course I do.
He's not a Christian.
Of course I do.
You're an Afro-nationalist. Let's go to, okay, so you're now, I'm a bit confused because like last time I was tracking you, you were in Advanced UK.
No, for briefly I was a
So
member,
now you
yeah.
jumped already.
Yeah, I was a member.
You're a member. So now you're a Restore, right?
Yeah, a member of Restore. I have no formal position on any party, and I don't want to. I just...
You don't want to?
Yeah,
That's
I just
lie.
simply want to campaign for movements, people, and candidates I believe in. And it was very telling of me that I'd be able to go into Advanced UK that didn't have as strong as a remigration policy as I have, because I practically work within the bounds of the political spectrum in this country. And that's why I believe the vast amount of general public of this country believes that migration is a bad thing for this country. And migration is like a textual thing. It should be able to enhance the actual workforce of this country, but it can't.
The vast majority of this country believe and what you believe. You believe in a 90 to 95% white British state. You are clearly
not white.
First of all,
not white. I don't want to be demographically replaced by Polish people.
He hasn't even defined what British means, a white British person is.
Okay, so
This guy can't even answer what a conservative is.
No, hang on.
He's an idiot.
What is the...
no, it's how you're teaming up. with the Christian sectarian, and you did it with Jono as well, because you actually been using this. What I find funny, and this is actually very.
Okay, what I was talking about with.
Okay, now he speaks to the
What I
camera.
was talking about with Jono, which you're trying to misrepresent me.
So you have worked with Jono in the past, right?
No, I haven't worked with Jono. I was just.
So you've spoken to him about a different Christian apologist at the park, right?
No, I spoke about Ricky Doolin.
No, because
spoke about Ricky
Jono cited me and other people and used your video as evidence. And the video he was talking about was you going up to other Christian apologists who were trying to engage in a religious discussion, and you cited me. They have nothing to do with my. They have kids, like man, they can't even look at my Twitter. No, hold on, you interrupted me. And this is the reason why I had a discussion with you, right? If you have a problem, you speak to me. You don't, in fact, go to other people who have kids and can't spend the time scrolling and doom scrolling on the Young Bob Twitter page.
Wait, can I talk about two things, right? Both things you mentioned. First of all, the discussion I had with Jono wasn't even to do with him. I don't know why he's quoting that. That was to do with a figure called Ricky Doolin, who is the person that converted Tommy Robinson to Christianity.
He claims that Tommy doesn't.
And he's leading the United Kingdom rally, right? Yeah.
He's a modalist.
Yeah, he's a modalist, but he's leading the United Kingdom rally. Yeah. So hang on. Ricky Doolin follows a church, the Spirit Assembly Church, which is run by Pastor Hubert Angel. Hubert Angel,
Prophet Angel, gold smuggled. Yeah.
He's a false prophet in Zimbabwe who claims to do miracles. He's a prosperity preacher. He says people who follow him suddenly have money appear in their bank accounts. People who follow him suddenly have their bills cleared. He claims to have moved the moon. Ricky Doolin has claimed to have seen that, and Ricky Doolin has said, Mr. Angel is the best Christian I know. He is my father.
Yeah, I don't agree with him. I've condemned. I've condemned publicly.
I want to ask you now, God, do you support the United Kingdom protest, whose spiritual father is a false prophet in Zimbabwe?
So, first of all, that's not true. Ricky Doolin is not the spiritual father of the UTK movement, and I would actually not attend if that was true. I don't agree with Pastor Ricky Doolin and his modalism. You know, he's good at singing, good at a band, but if he went on stage and said, this is what the Trinity is, and gave a modalistic answer, I would say, no one engage with this guy, because I don't agree with Ricky Doolin's ministry at all. I think it's actually going to damage a lot of souls in the long term.
He's playing a leading role in the United Kingdom process, you know that, right?
Yeah, he's singing.
He's not just singing.
Yeah, he is. I was there backstage last Kingdom. Can you, if you find me a listing in which the UTK listed...
If there was an imam leading a movement, would you align...
I'll give you a better analogy. If I was a Muslim, right, and, you know, I was...
Why can't you just call
if I was a Muslim...
Angel?
No, hold on.
Why can't you just call out this false prophet?
Yeah, I have. Bob's called him out. I will call him out. I don't like gold smugglers.
Why are you...
Bob literally tweeted about it.
Why are you guys going to the United Kingdom rally?
Okay.
When there's this
because there's millions of other people
who's following this false prophet.
Okay, so...
It's simple logic.
So the logic is this. If Tommy can mobilize millions of people and they are searching for the Christian faith, I would prefer to be present and at least give my witness of the faith, what I believe Christianity is. And if Ricky Doolin is going to be there with his little guitar and he's not going to talk about the Trinity, I think that's fine.
You got any gold in your backpack?
No.
Did Ricky give you any gold?
Listen.
Did Ricky give you any gold?
Ricky doesn't. Okay.
Does he pay? Does he fund?
From what I've seen, it was very stupid of Ricky Doolin to listen to an Al Jazeera plot where they claim to be Hong Kong dissidents.
On camera, dude.
Right? Very stupid of him. I don't know anything about him privately. Never really a cup of tea with him or anything. Can't confirm if it's true or not. But he is a modalist at the end of the day. He's not my pastor. He's not been listed as a spiritual father of the UTK rally.
I was just simply pointing to the fact that that's the discussion I had with Jono.
Yes.
The discussion was on Ricky.
But you asked me questions about it.
You were trying to manipulate that conversation, saying it was about you when it wasn't. It was about Ricky Doolin.
Because he's publicly said it.
Pastor Angel.
Because you publicly elaborated
the second part where you said I went up to Chris and I was saying,
yes.
Why is the association?
Do you think it's fair for someone who has kids, who probably isn't politically engaged? No, but I'm creating I'm creating a narrative here. Okay. So he does not know anything about my Twitter page. Doesn't know anything about politics.
So
he's writing a book about the Islamic dilemma.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is kind of a situation where Chris, the Speaker's Corner, he clearly endorses what Young Bob is saying, but he can't come out.
Can you see that? Can you show me?
He has kids because he has this.
Can you show me that? Can you show me where he's politically endorsed my views?
Use Young Bob to come here and do their dirty work. Chris, the Speaker's Corner.
There's no no
dirty
one who
work
even talks about
because
politics
he
at Speaker's
has his
Corner.
career on the line, he has young kids, he has all of these things. So that's why I went up to him and I said, how can you be letting someone like you do his dirty work for him when you're throwing...
Can you prove that he has tried to me...
in my face the last time we had a discussion
Listen,
like this, right?
again,
when you
no context taken whatsoever.
And I've got the video, when you, and we've all heard the video now, that there's a video out there of him saying mixed race children have genetic issues. When he has been going around here...
Because there's genetic issues across the ethnic and racial lines. Like, you understand that the very reason why I'm white and you're darker is because you come from a different people who were exposed to the sun more.
I want to touch on this for a second. So, like, what is the native people of this country?
It's the admixture of the ethnogenesis of this country, which is the Anglo-Saxons, the Mormons, the Cornish, you know.
Mormons?
Okay, hang on. So he's saying the Anglo-Saxons, the Mormons, for some reason.
No, shit, sorry. Mispronunciation.
So apparently, he's defined his whole movement on this.
No, I haven't. You just asked me questions about it.
As Mormons, he slipped up. Okay, I'm not gonna label the point. Okay, so you said the Anglo-Saxons,
So
right?
can you stop being so eager to interrupt me? No, because I tried to give a definition of the word.
Just don't say
Okay,
Mormons.
my apologies. First of all, it's not the sort of only thing I talk about in Speaker's Corner. Second thing, you try to act like, first of all, I have a lot of contact with Chris. I'm so incredibly busy with politics, I'm barely able to even speak to these people at Speaker's Corner. That's why I think it's incredibly unfair. I don't know what Chris is like in his private life. I don't really speak to the fella. There's certainly a big age difference, so, you know, we couldn't really talk about, you know, things that we have in common. So it's not like he's calling me and telling him to do politics.
Like, you guys have been having conversations saying...
Yes, the only discussion I ever have, the only discussion, I could swear on God, that the only discussions I have with Chris on a regular basis is when he's at this corner and on camera. So,
but you guys have voiced your support of each other multiple times.
No, can you show me where?
After he got attacked.
Yeah, I don't like people being attacked.
Yeah.
Tay, if you were rugby tackled by a Christian, I'd call it out on a video.
I'm not condoning the attack, but I'm saying...
Okay, so then why should I be silent about it? If you will condemn it, if you will condemn it, if you...
voicing your support in other areas.
No, hold on.
No, hold on. Ask him a simple question.
My friend, I don't think we're going to get anywhere if you're just going to keep on interrupting me.
I can't even answer the simple question.
No, I'm trying to, but you keep on interrupting and then keep on asking other questions, and you got your friend James over there. So if you just want to keep on interrupting me, I can very easily speak to the camera, give an answer.
People on university students outside this corner, but you're not going to be able to have...
Because university students have better manners and are more pious than yourself.
I've let you speak.
No, you haven't. You keep on speaking over me.
Let's have a civil conversation.
Okay, let's try and have a civil discussion where he doesn't interrupt, you don't interrupt me. Now, the thing is, native people can be, and what means to be British are two different things. Because Britishness can be a legal identity, it can be a civic one, and it can be an ethnic one, right? I currently believe that we have to create a hostile environment for migrants because there's not been a democratic consent of its people to accept millions of people into this country, right? Unless you can show me otherwise, where we have a referendum on migration, and trust me, I've been part of campaigns to set a mass migration referendum where we actually agree with the rate of migration currently. The second thing I would say, and I want to make this very clear, no Christian at Speaker's Corner do I regularly speak to, do they actually speak about my politics? They are more clued up, and they're more focusing on their own ministry, on their own work, either privately working outside of this, or working on their social media or their profiles. Go on.
Did Chris go to the United Kingdom for this last time?
No. Okay. Even then, I have nothing to do with the UTK rally. I've made it very clear.
No, I understand. You're a bit extremer than the UTK.
Yeah, of course.
No, I think it's a great thing. I think it's a great thing to have millions of people, like-minded people outside on the street.
I endorse his views on creating an ethno state. But yeah, anyway, let's go back to what do you define as a native person?
It's the ethnogenesis of this country, which is simply a mixture of different groups who have settled in this land.
So Anglo-Saxon, Celts,
Cornish,
Mormons, Vikings,
Jehovah's Witnesses.
So, do you agree that the Anglo-Saxons themselves are a mixture of two ethnic groups?
Yes.
Yes.
That's why I said that. I get it. Like the way that countries settle is that generationally, settlers will come into a land and settle there.
Okay. So, what is the what distinguishes one merger of an ethnicity from another merger of an ethnicity, and what time periods are we
Their
talking?
ancestry.
No, but I'm saying like the Anglo-Saxons.
You're asking me what's the difference between an apple and an orange. And then we can talk about how the orange is orange and how the apple is red.
I'm saying the Anglo-Saxons are a merger of the Anglo people and the Saxons, right? Yeah.
And then they settled here, and then the people that already settled in England, they breeded with each other, and they created a distinctive group of people, which is known as English, Scottish, Welsh, and Irish.
When migrants come from abroad,
Yeah.
and then they intermarry with the Anglo-Saxon population.
Yeah, and my ancestors, and if we do have this mass, interracial mingling, right?
Support that.
I don't support cohorts of people. I don't support millions of people coming in because it's unfair for the millions of people coming in and also these people. If you're asking about interracial marriages, it's probably like 1% of the population. Absolutely fine. If you love a white woman, what can I do about it? You love her.
No, but I'm saying,
Preferably do it at a Christian church.
I'm asking. So ethnicities that are not Anglo-Saxon, when they come to the UK, they intermarry with the Anglo-Saxon population.
Yeah, their children will have a
native.
bit of Anglo-Saxon in them, and they'll have an admixture. Like if a Pakistani,
Native umbrella.
yeah, they are native to this country.
They are
yes.
native to this country. Okay. So mixed race children are native to this country. Okay.
Even people who hold to more extreme positions than me, like Steve Laws, for example, who I don't agree with, what he would say is they are.
You talk to regularly.
Yeah, I talk to anyone. I'm talking to you right now. I'm platforming you.
In a different vibe. Vibe when you're talking to
Yeah, I was asking.
confrontational situation, whereas with Steve Laws it's in a more backing up.
I had a 3-hour discussion with him in which I pushed back on some of his points and accepted some of his points. The thing is, if the same way that Steve Laws treated me, you treated me currently, we'd have more of an amicable discussion right now. But so far, whenever I speak to you at Speaker's Corner, you try to create a narrative of someone whom I'm not. You try to intentionally decept.
Last time, he constant. Even this was an ambush. He came when I'm just minding my.
Don't go to Speaker's Corner. Or don't speak to me behind my back.
Okay, but let's get back to.
Do you think it's fair that if someone is spoken to behind their back, they have the right to, in your aims, ambush them? If I went around the block saying that Tay is Christophobic, do you have the right to say that?
Young Bob, you've gone around slandering me on
I wanted to
camera.
raise it. Well, I was going through a very personal situation the last time you ambushed me, and it was on a very personal topic. And you were
Then
not
say
willing
that.
to engage.
Then say
on the
that.
fact but you weren't, because you had.
So you say you were in a Tay mourning period. I'd say you're in a Tay. You could have whispered it in my ear. And this is something you've only came up with months after this Soho time I've traumatised you. You've been traumatised by young
You're
Bob.
talking about my manners. Where was the manners there? Where I constantly told you, Bob, if you're going to come up to me and engage with me, it's better to.
Did I speak Did I speak about you behind your back?
Let's go back to the conversation.
Well done. Can I answer the question? Have I spoken about Tay behind other people's backs? Is that yes or no?
I'm not aware of
Okay, because I don't do it.
Because I'm not throwing hits.
Because I may be a Nazi, but at least I'm well mannered.
I'm not the one
At least I'm
throwing
well mannered.
Really? Okay, guys. I'm bad.
And now he speaks to the camera.
He's well mannered, but he throws hits.
Okay, actually, for the sake of the camera, I'll give this context, right? You asked me about, I think it was Father Calvin Robertson, someone who interviewed me, right? And you said, do you condemn him doing a Hitler salute? I said, no, it's not a Hitler salute. I wouldn't do it because it's a form of sarcastic terrorism. The strategy there is to do something that people on the left will say is a Nazi salute. Then you get the attention, you get the clip farms, you get the engagement, and then you can say it's not that, and the left are trying to vilify you. It's sarcastic terrorism. I don't agree with it, but it's certainly not a Nazi salute. And I did it as to prove that's not a Nazi salute. Wouldn't do it myself, but it's bad manners.
In this park said,
I believe in. Many of the people in this country at Speaker's Corner I'd probably want in this country. The thing is, migrants who are here for good reason, on high school visas for example, or fighting the good fight, are currently being undermined by the millions of people who shouldn't be here. And because we have that situation, we sometimes don't mention these individuals and we speak to people as if they were categories, because migration is at an unprecedented level. Never had democratic consent to bring in millions of people. In fact, I would argue, if you want a prevailing Christian faith in this country, what you don't do is import people who don't agree with you, especially on a moral level. That's why, especially in the early 2010s, Speaker's Corner, a lot of this content was politically coded because we're talking about why Muslims in this country believe in child marriage.
Bob, can I ask a question?
Go for it.
Would it make sense to do some research into what the policies are right now as far as admitting immigrants? Because right now we're making a blanket comment about immigrants coming in. But one thing we haven't done is investigate what questions are they asked, what criteria do they use?
Great example, right? So asylum seekers, about 40,000 last year, which was about the number that we were promised in net migration. So we're talking about 40,000 people who shouldn't be here. It should make up the entire total sum of migrants in this country. When they come here, mostly through boats and lorries, or if their visa overstays or try to claim asylum, and they don't have documents, it would be social care workers that are set to ask them questions and give them temporary documents. Then they apply to their embassy, and most of the time the embassy, because they get thousands of requests, give you fake information. And I can only really speak to anecdotally on the level. Surprisingly, when I was doing a bit of independent journalism, I was speaking to taxi cab drivers, and they were being frustrated. If you're a taxi cab driver, you need, for a check to receive your license, all of your information since the day you turn 18. If you're a migrant and you don't have sufficient documents from your country, because a lot of these people are in theory in data collection, it's only the last 5 years, and it's information that you apply to your embassy. If your embassy doesn't give you sufficient information, it's just taken for granted.
Wouldn't it make sense to try to fight to really look under a fine-tooth comb at the criteria by which they let people in, and do something to make more bulletproof, to tighten that criteria? Wouldn't that make sense rather than just to blanket say no migrants at all? So many of the arguments you hear down at Speaker's Corner are very binary. They're very good versus evil, black versus white. But there's a lot of detail that are people.
So I agree with you, and it's the natural position of people who are put in countries that are under managed decline. Populism rises when your country is declining. Well, if you feel like you've lost your country, you're going to be in a very bad state, right? So we can't blame people for thinking that way. Now, what I would say is that if you do that, you're already restricting migration. If there are thousands of migrants that are in fact here with a lack of information, if there are migrants that are here, there are thousands of migrants here that are here because we don't have a sound criteria, then surely if we increase the standards, we decrease the amount of migrants. So we're sort of speaking about the same level here.
So I think there needs to be an analysis of the process by which they're making decisions. Now, here's also something really interesting to take into consideration. Psychologists have a principle. I don't know what this word is, but when new immigration, as opposed to old immigration, when new immigration reaches a percentage point of I believe it's between 10 and 20%, like clockwork, the native population will rebel and they will get angry, So seeing as we know that this is a principle, what we need to look at is, instead of saying, too many migrants, let's look instead. Now, Singapore did something fairly radical. What Singapore said is the percentage of migrants in any given area can't be too high.
I agree with you. That's what I said. That's what I said with Tay. I said to Tay that regionally, it's not just nationally. You focus regionally, right? Right wingers will always give examples of areas like Birmingham.
Exactly.